Hi guys, good evening. So, so while we wait for some of them to join us, so I think I'll just brief quickly about today's topic. Today we're going to be discussing about this body part, which is typically the happiest when left alone. So I'm pretty sure you know what it is because it's on the title right there. We are going to be talking about the vagina. And since we have a lot of doubts about how do we really keep the lady part happy and healthy, I'm going to quickly pull in Dr. Nivedita Manokaran so we can go ahead. Hi.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I
Pleasure.
think it's nice for you already. Thank you so
Yeah,
much for your time.
not at all. Pleasure, anytime.
You're doing a great job. Loved your video with She the People TV. It was
Thank you.
great and doing a great job talking about the taboos and all of that. I think I'm really a fan of you. You're doing a
Oh,
great
thank
job.
you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
And I'm really excited to be talking about this particular topic today, which is feminine hygiene and about the vagina. How do we keep it happy, healthy? How do you maintain it and all of that? So, if I have to start, I think my first question will be from the phrases like, you smell like a vagina. You're such a douchebag. These are stuff that people say, and apparently, what is a douche? Probably it's just a feminine product, a hygiene product, which helps women clean their vagina. So, we've been told for eons that women have been made to believe that the vagina is a stinky organ, probably. It's really stinky down there. You have to maintain it and all of that. So, how would enlighten us? So, what is normal smell from the vagina? What is the vagina odor? Is it okay to have that sort of smell in general?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And it is very hard to say what is a vaginal odor because, again, every vagina smells different.
Right.
And and I really want to, emphasize to tell people, I think we should all know how our own vagina actually smells. It's a good thing to know because then you know that if something goes off or if it doesn't smell right, then you know that it's gone off. It doesn't smell usual and stuff like that. So it's very important to know, like any other body part or any other thing in yourself, it's very important to know how your vagina looks. Or in fact, I think we're talking about vulva, which is the outside, and how your
Right.
vulva looks and how your vaginal discharge smells and how your vulva and vagina smells. It's very interesting that you asked that because I mean all animals, we all have, like, a body odor which is very unique for
Right.
each one of us, and so does the vagina. So does the vaginal fluid. It has an odor which is very unique for certain people. In
Okay.
in an animal, or to say, kingdom, like, like when you take all humans and all animals, the main, attraction between a male and a female are actually, if you see, is the body odor, is the smell that one's body has that attracts the other person. Yeah, I mean, I know we're talking about sweat, we talk about discharge, and we talk about, pre-cum and things like that. But people's body odor actually is something that is so important that it actually attracts the other sex. And it is something that's very important, that is needed for, in fact, sexual encounter or sexual, attraction. You don't necessarily need to smell like a bouquet of flowers. I'm not quite sure if you keep smelling like roses, if somebody would really want to have sex with you. But at the same time, if you smell like how any you smell, because every
Hmm.
individual has a smell, every vulva, and your vulva is supposed to smell like your vulva. We don't need to actually, you know perfume it or do anything like that. There's one thing that I recently learned from Seema Anand, and this credit goes to her because she was just
Yeah.
recently telling out how women's vagina is the most, it's the most purest form of smell, apparently. And
Wow.
people actually use that smell or that odor to even mix it with perfumes,
Wow.
because that is so attractive, that the natural odor of a woman's vagina is actually so attractive that it is
Wow.
actually used in perfume making. So that
I think
that's the power.
you just crashed all the markets, all the products, all the fem
I think
hygiene
so. I
products.
think
And
so. I think
yeah,
that's what I put on my story today. You know, you're gonna be shocked. It's $1 billion market, but
right.
honestly, the women's vagina, the smell that you have, the same, you know, your body odor, it actually attracts the other sex.
So it's time we have to be like own it and proud of it, and instead of like using
Absolutely,
products
absolutely.
and
As for
trying to
look,
remove it.
you act genuinely don't. We'll talk about it as we go, and I'll explain why, but you don't really need to.
Right. I think that's a great point. Like that makes me wonder. We have so many feminine products, wipes, and solutions, but we don't find any penis wipes or probably penis wash. I haven't seen. I'm not sure if it's in the market though. So yeah, that's
It's
interesting.
also again very interesting you say that, because anatomically, if you see in a man, the pee and the cum comes out of the same hole.
Right, right,
You know, there's only one urethra, you know, and
right.
your pee and your cum comes out of the same hole. And, you know, me and my friends used to make a joke, you know, they say, you should remember, you know, when people are giving blowjobs, the first thing that goes into your mouth is probably pee. Because, because the urethra has that, you know, the urethra has a bit of a pee, and then comes the cum. So I think that's, you know, that's very important, that we understand. You're right. So that doesn't have a cleaning product. They don't have anything to hose the pipe
Yeah,
down. Yeah,
right.
exactly. And we actually, you know, women seem to, you're right, have a whole billion products that's available now there to say, you know, make it smell good or
Yeah.
clean better, and, you know, stuff like that, which is definitely actually, if anything, it does more harm.
Hmm.
uh, yeah, so I think that is what we have to understand, because people would ask, what's wrong? What's wrong if it just smells good? It's not about just smelling good. You know, I just want people to understand that, yes, you can wash because it's skin outside, the vulval skin is there outside. And the vulval skin is actually really very sensitive and also very thin when compared to other areas in our body, right? And I think we have to understand that the skin is like that for a reason, you know, that area which is there, you know, it also has hair, it has sweat glands, and, you know, it has a whole range of things. So yeah, so when you're having a shower, feel free to definitely, you know, use your lather and, yeah, wash up that area as well, because it's necessary. And I tell people, when you're moisturizing, feel free to moisturize, you know, in between your thighs and all the areas as
Right.
well, because it's necessary, because it's also skin, it's sensitive skin. In fact, you need to be very careful about it. So I think that's what you need to know when you're using. Look, female hygiene products, you know, when people keep saying the word vaginal washes, it kind of disturbs me, because I think that is where we haven't actually understood what
It's
part
the
of the
vulva,
body you're
maybe.
talking about. That's right.
Right.
That's right. So I think we have to first learn, women have to learn to understand, I mean, learn that the thing outside is actually the vulva, and the vaginal canal is the canal from the inside of that vulva, where you see the opening from inside to the cervix is the vagina. Usually people don't clean the vagina. They're not meant to clean the vagina, because the vagina is a very, very sensitive part. It is a self-cleansing organ. So what happens is the vagina has like what we call flora. So, you know, flora is nothing but the organisms and the way it's meant to be, the discharges, you know, the atmosphere. So vagina
Hmm.
has its own atmosphere, and it takes care of its own atmosphere because the vagina has what we call as lactobacillus. So it is a bacteria that is present in large amount in people's vagina and vaginal fluid. The lactobacillus produces what is called lactic acid, so it keeps your vaginal discharge acidic. When your vaginal discharge is acidic, and when you have things going into the vagina, it has a tendency to kill those things because your discharge is acidic. So when you put stuff like water and products and fingers and wash it and
Hmm.
clean it, all the products that you use is probably designed to kill bacteria, you know, with antibacterial stuff. And it would also kill the lactobacillus in there. which is the good
Okay.
bacteria, because soaps don't know that, oh, I shouldn't kill this one because it's a
Mhm.
good
Right.
bacteria, or I should, because soaps can't differentiate good bacteria and bad bacteria. So they just
Right.
go and destroy stuff, completely. So when you destroy this lactobacillus, there is no lactic acid, and your discharge becomes alkaline instead of acidic, and it doesn't actually have the tendency to take care of other things that is coming in. And if that happens, then it starts growing stuff, and then you start having a smelly discharge or a thicker discharge and more discharge, and what we, call as bacterial vaginosis, where you start smelling. So this is
Right.
your logic behind your vagina taking care of itself, and leaving it alone. I can't emphasize enough as to how important understanding this is. Um,
I
yeah,
think
so
that's
that
great.
is what happens. Yeah,
That's great piece of information. So I did have a question about vaginal wash, yes, but you just addressed it right off. So I'll move on to the next bit, which is about douching. So what is it? I just read about it and it said like it has been existing like for years, and probably in the 19th century, doctors started prescribing douching as a method to prevent pregnancies, and then it was probably advised to keep your feminine hygiene up. So, what is douching and what do they actually do? Can women actually do this, and are there any side effects to it?
perfect. So no, women are not supposed to douche into their vagina. So what
Okay.
is douching? Douching is taking a water hose or a water thing, and then washing and forcefully putting the water pressure into the vagina. That
Okay.
is what is called douching. So by doing that, you are again destroying or disrupting the vaginal flora. You're getting rid of the
Right.
lactobacillus and the good things that are inside the vagina, which actually are there to take care of themselves. So I think that's very important that women do not douche. Do not means do not at all. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Douching with water is bad enough. Douching with other products and fingers inside and cleaning, no, it's really bad, because you destroy the good bacteria inside your vagina. Vagina is a self-cleansing organ, so you need to leave it alone.
Okay. That's
And
great. That's
and I always tell people, you can never wash away whatever that is you're thinking with water hosing it down. When people have unprotected sex, or when people
Mhm.
have sex with a stranger and they haven't used a condom and they're worried about STIs, things like this. The next day people come and wash the shit out of things. People wash the penis so much with soaps, and then you washing your vagina, like you said, hosing it down, and you're trying to get rid of, I don't know what, guilt, STIs, pregnancy. And I always tell people that is exactly how you don't get rid of these things. Honestly, water hosing things down, you don't get rid of anything. In fact, you make things worse. When you're using soaps in a sensitive skin like that, and you're water hosing it and cleaning it because you're so scared, you
Mhm.
actually make it really red and irritated. People do it a lot, if you notice. So now what happens, you start thinking, oh my God, I had unprotected sex, and now my
Right.
genital area looks red and irritated. So you are connecting the red and the irritation with, you caught something from that encounter, right? I mean,
Right.
you might have, we don't know, but clearly washing and cleaning and soaping does definitely irritate it a lot. And I see it a lot in my practice, where people, 2 days later, they're like, oh my God, I did this, and then, this became red, and you're thinking, how many times did you wash it? Like, how many times did you think you're going to wash it and remove whatever that is that you did? So I really want to tell people, please, whatever that is you do, washing the shit out of it doesn't get rid of it.
So then I think then if you can brief us on how many times can a person actually wash the vagina in a day? Is
No,
vagina
no. So,
really
so,
high
so then I'm going to
maintenance?
stop you right there. No washing the vagina.
Okay.
Vagina is the internal part. Nobody's washing it ever.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Right? So what you're
Right.
actually washing is probably the vulva, which is outside.
Mhm.
And you
Mhm.
can do it when you're having a shower, and that's enough. And
Okay.
if, yeah, there are some people who wash the vulva outside after every time, like they go to the bath toilet and then they wash with water. And I always tell people, when you're washing with water, don't rub and wipe the thing down. Just dab it. If you're dabbing it with a towel, you're using paper towels, dab it, and then you put your underpants off, and that's more than enough. No need to rub and wipe, and you don't actually need to do that much effort or damage. And I think that's very important. Um, the
Okay.
people understand that. So washing the vagina is a no. No washing vagina. Let's be very clear with that. And then when you're washing your vulva, it's good enough when you do it when you're in a shower. Sometimes people have shower twice a day. If they're very sweaty, they're very hot, you can wash it every time you have a shower, and that's fine. And don't use any extra soap, or don't wash your vulva twice. Let's say you're putting soap for your body, but extra vulva gets extra attention and you wash it more. So the more, like I said, the more soaps you use to a sensitive skin, the more dry you make it. The more dry you make sensitive skin, the more itchy it gets. And the minute your vaginal area, your vulval area, your genital area starts itching, everybody's freaking out. So you have to remember, the more you leave it alone, the better it is.
Right. I think you mentioned about products wash, while washing, you mentioned about soap and stuff. So I think that's like we all know, like if you're going to have a wash, I know like the kind of shampoo I have to use for the body, for the hair. Like when it comes to the vagina, at least the market tries to tell us that don't use a regular soap. You have, specific kind of products, hygiene products that they're selling on us. So my question is, do we really need to use those products? Like, do we really need to use such hygiene care products, wash, or whatever? So, who can use it, or can anyone use it, or is it not required, or is it only after, say, we have an unproductive sex and I'm scared of an STI, and then I want to use
That's
this product?
exactly no. That's exactly what I said. That's exactly what I said people do, and that's exactly what you're not supposed
Yeah.
to do.
Okay.
Okay, so the answer to this is very, I mean, it's going to be disappointing. Probably a lot of companies are going to hate me, but you don't need a feminine hygiene product to wash your vulva. You
Okay.
actually don't need. You're just fine with, I don't know, if you're using Nivea, Dove, whatever that is you're using for your body, you can use the same lather to wash your genital area and you'll be fine. Just more than fine. Look, basically, I want to tell, like, I want to say, like, as a dermatologist,
Hmm.
I was always taught, products that are very, the ones that say using for sensitive skin, let's just say,
Yeah.
the skin tested products, the ones for sensitive skin, and the products that are non-scented, and very simple. Those things are, are very important because they are very good for any skin. It doesn't necessarily have to be gentle skin, because I do see feminine hygiene products which says, pH balanced,
Yeah.
right? Because it doesn't, and it says very non-scented or mild, words like that. But to be
Yeah.
honest, we should be using soaps like that for our body anyway in the first place.
Hmm. Right.
So so I always tell my patients, I mean, even when people are using soaps, I always tell people, don't use soap directly on your body because the soap is really harsh. Always lather it and use the lather on your body because that's how it's better. And again, your body washes are better than soaps because soaps are a bit harsher when compared to your body washes. So body washes are nice. And when you really have sensitive skin, it's good to use something that's probably, non-scented or mildly scented, and the ones that you use for sensitive skin. Like, for example, there's so much in the market these days. So you have, Aveeno, you have Cetaphil, you have QV, you have Dermaveen. There's so many, skin related products that are available. So any such body wash can be used for your sensitive skin, and the same body wash can be used down there when you're having a shower.
Okay.
And that's that, and I think for any type of skin, hydration is very important. So a good moisturizer is very, very important. I don't think many people have a habit of, really moisturizing,
Right.
but moisturizer it does great. It's a great job. It definitely, comes a long way. So I'm a big advocate for a good moisturizer as well. So yeah,
So
so
it is
definitely,
also important to moisturize around,
yeah.
probably not around the vulva, I mean the
See,
inner
you don't
thighs.
want, it doesn't matter because you don't have to go and moisturize the vulval area or the pubic area, but you can definitely do on the inner thighs and stuff like that. And if you feel like, where your hair is in your pubic area, it's a little bit dry and itchy, you can definitely put on some moisturizer. It wouldn't hurt. You know what I mean? You don't want to put, again, you don't want to put moisturizer inside the vagina because it's itchy or dry, because you don't put anything in there. If something
Right.
gets itchy or dry in there, you go show it to a doctor and check it out and see what's going on, and ask them what you need to do. You know, whether it's an infection, whether it's a cut, whether it's some kind of eczema, allergy, get it checked. You know, don't try to throw stuff into it. So don't put anything into the vagina. You have to
Mhm.
remember that outside the vulva, it's skin, it's hair. So yes, you can moisturize, because especially people use all kind of hair removal techniques as well. You know,
Right.
yes, because people do think that removing your hair is a part of, you know, keeping that area clean or female hygiene, whatever, which again is not true. You can have a hair in that area. Well, it's meant to be, and that's why it's there. So different people do it differently. If you want it clean, yes, you can keep it, like, you know, shave, or, you know, people do different kind of things. I personally don't recommend shaving because of the ingrown hair and the cuts, and, you know, the dryness and pigmentation long term shaving can actually cause. I'm a big fan of laser hair removal. I know it's expensive, but if you can afford it, you just do it the one time and you're done with it.
Okay.
And, you know, there's no lumps, bumps, there's no cuts, there's no folliculitis, there's no lot of things, you know, makes it easy. But if
Mhm.
you're someone who wants to have hair, please go for it, because it's absolutely fine to have pubic hair. It's meant to be there. You can keep it long, you can keep it short, you can use like a clipper and just trim it down if you want, any of that. So when people are doing all these kind of things, there is hair, there is sweat, there's always some kind of itch and dryness.
Right.
So yeah, so it's important to use a very mild soap, important to moisturize. And I think those things should be fine. In spite of that, if something is lasting long, please go and check it out with your doctor. Don't self do stuff and throw too many things in it before, you know, and then it's a bit too late. It's already too burnt or too red or too itchy. Um, so yeah, so go
So, because
before
you
that.
mentioned about hair removal products, what about creams? If people can, if they think that's the option that's available for them, can they use
Mm,
hair removal creams on their vulva
no.
and remove it? Okay.
No, again, that's something that I won't recommend, because vulval skin or genital skin is very, very thin. And like you know, if you open a tin of hair removal cream, you know how strong it's, like how much of, you
Yeah.
know, chemical it's got. It smells like acid almost. And, you know, putting those creams in your genital area definitely harms the skin, irritates it. And I think it's very important that when you're using creams like this, it also burns the area, and repeatedly when you're wiping the cream after it's, you know, irritated
Mhm.
the area, it tends
Yeah.
to actually cause pigmentation, which is not a good
Okay.
thing, because, you know, again, then people start bleaching and then use the cream. You know, they start bleach, they put bleach on the area, which is again going to irritate the skin, and then you use the hair. It's kind of, you're damaging it way too much. The more you're
Okay.
using products, the more you're irritating it, the more darker it's going to get. But by saying that, I also want to say women's genital area is darker than rest of your body. I want
Right. I
people
think.
to, yes, yes.
So there's
It
no
does
way
not,
to lighten it.
it does not look like this. No, it doesn't. And it will not, because, you know, it's a moist area. It's an area where there is skin, and it's an area where there is lot of friction throughout the day. Um, so, you know, in between your thighs, or, you know, in your genital area, whether it's men or women, you will notice that it is darker than rest of your body. And I really cannot emphasize, you have to understand that that's how it is for everybody. And what you see in movies or what you see in pornography is all because there's makeup, right? Pornography is also a form of a movie. It's shot with actors playing the role. There's a lot of editing and lot of coloring and lot of filtering, and many things are done with it. So I want you to understand, what you see there is not real. That's not how real people's genital areas actually look. It's very fabricated and very false. So yeah, so embrace your body or genital area for what it is. Definitely know it well. You know, spend some time, put a mirror down there, sit down and, you know, see, because suddenly if there is a growth, if
Right.
there is something, you know, lumps or bumps, or again, like I said, anything, you need to know. And if you don't know your body well, it's really difficult. So there's no shame in knowing that part, because it's like any other part of the body. In fact, it is very, you know, hidden. So it's very important to actually have a look at it every now and then to make sure it's fine.
That's great. I think you're breaking a lot of myths, which is great because it's really common for people out there to, compare themselves with people on the movies and, like you said, pornographies and all of that. So yeah, that's
Absolutely.
great. So to talking about materials and ingredients, products, be it tampons, cups, toys, or maybe even a penis. So before we let any of these foreign objects inside the vagina, is there, something that every woman should be aware of, should be mindful of, anything of that sort? Like, is there any ingredients, particular ingredients that's harmful for the vagina? Like you mentioned, what about menstrual cups and tampons? Do they actually harm the vagina because it's been inserted inside? Or is it okay? It doesn't do anything.
No, it doesn't. It's okay. So again, I
Okay.
would like to say again, when people are using tampons, it's very important that they change it in every few hours because like you said, you're right. You're inserting something into your vagina. It's holding blood. It's expanding inside your
Mhm.
vagina. You just don't want
Right.
to leave it for many hours. So if you have to change it for every couple of hours or if it's getting full, you have to do that. And that is very important. And again, menstrual cups actually don't damage your vaginal flora or anything to do with that. I also recommend people to use a lubricant when they are actually inserting a menstrual cup because rather than
Okay.
the dryness. So look, I mean, sometimes when you're having a period, the period blood itself is enough to actually
Yeah.
insert in because it does work as a lubricant. But sometimes if you feel like a vagina is dry, just use a little bit of a lubricant in your hand and then dab, just rub the cup and then put it in because it slides in easier. Don't try to friction things or push things. And that is why I always advocate. I'm a big advocate of lubrication, and I tell a
Okay.
lot of people to use lubes. I mean, and they say, oh, but I'm wet enough, I don't need lube. But that's not the thing. Wet, you got water, yes, but how long are you going to last? It's, I mean, an extra sliminess wouldn't hurt. Extra smoothness wouldn't hurt. In fact, it prevents all
Right.
the friction, and it's great for damaging, not damaging your vaginal flora because you're using that lubrication and it's not really doing that. Especially when you're using a condom, it prevents your
Mhm.
condom from breaking and also prevents, the rubber is actually rubbing into your vagina, right? So if you've got enough
Right.
lubrication, the damage it does to your vaginal flora is less. So yeah, so if you see someone who's having a lot of sex, you will see that their vaginal flora can get damaged and they can get
Mhm.
recurrent BV. But so a good water-based lubricant, it would go
Okay.
a long way. Yeah, so
Okay.
definitely using tampons, or like I said, if you follow the right way of using the tampons and using menstrual cups should be definitely fine. They don't do anything because some things are allowed to go inside the vagina. People have sex
Right.
all the time, and that's not going to, do damage to it. It's designed for certain things, so it's all right.
Okay. Okay, that's great. Like you mentioned about lubricants, I was just, is it a myth or can people use, because I believe some people use coconut oils as lubricant, like most men, at least in India, what we've heard of. So is coconut oil allowed to be used as a lube?
Look, I mean, oil-based lubricants are not great with condoms because they cause condoms to rupture.
Okay.
So definitely no oil if you're someone who's using condoms to protect yourself from STIs or using condoms to protect yourself, I mean, from falling pregnant. If that's your method of contraception, definitely no oils because oil-based lubricants tend to break the condom. So
Okay.
no. Look, I know, I mean, I have heard like, a lot of men do tend to use coconut oil. Some
Yeah.
even use Vaseline and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So when men are masturbating and they're using coconut oil or they're massaging and they're using Vaseline, that's absolutely fine because their skin or whatever that is outside is okay. What I don't want to put this coconut oil into somebody's vagina.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you're having partnered sex, let's say you're having sex with somebody else, I'd rather go for an again. Look, I'm a big again thing of non-scented, so I'll again go for a non-scented water-based lubricant, which will
Okay.
probably is great for partnered sex rather than use house products like oil and stuff because sometimes when you're using oil it does have a tendency to again not very friendly for the inside of the vagina because you don't want stuff like oil to go in there. I don't, yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's great. So my next question to you is about vaginal steaming. I'm not sure if people do it these days, but I haven't seen, but I think I can refer to the scene in Jodha Akbar where Aishwarya Rai like has a bath and then they steam with herbs and then they put her gown on top of it.
Gauna,
So,
yeah, yeah.
so yeah, it looks really good.
Yeah, I believe. No, no, I mean, well, you shouldn't be, because I believe people do that. I believe they say that it's great for, period pain, and they almost make you feel like as the period is something like it smells bad or it's a bad thing. So they, steaming. So actually, yeah, I did notice somewhere, and a couple of my colleagues were talking about, what and some people who follow naturopathic stuff or
Over
ayurvedic stuff
highway.
still do propagate doing steaming, especially with like you said, the potpourri stuff and the herbs
Mhm.
and lavender oil and stuff like that, and they believe that all this smell goes into the vagina and keeps the vaginal health, which is not true.
Okay.
Well, look, I mean, i'm all I am a I'm very careful about what I critic, because I do understand, like, look, I follow allopathic medicine and I
Mhm.
respect what I follow. And at the same time, different people follow different type of medicine, right? So people
Mhm.
follow Ayurvedic and people follow different kind of things. And that's very important that we respect that as well. So if it is not doing any harm, I usually don't say no to people. So if
Okay.
it's if you're going to sit somewhere and the steam's too far and it just sends all your, let's say it's scenting your skin up and everything, I don't care. I mean, yeah, I always tell people go for it. Sometimes people say, can I drink, can I have yogurt because the yogurt has lactobacillus? I know. And I always tell people, well, your whatever you eat, like, Yakult or yogurt or the lactobacillus supplements,
Right.
actually, whatever you eat don't get absorbed in the vagina. It doesn't
Is
help
it?
change the
Okay.
vaginal health. But people
Okay.
always think it, yeah. So people
But
think
is
when
that
I
a
say
myth then? Like,
yeah, so when I say lactobacillus, people start supplementing with yogurt and Yakult and lactobacillus tablets, and I do tend to tell them it's not. But then when people tell me, it's made a difference that I'm taking Yakult every day, and I always say go for it. If you feel it's made a difference, it's not going to hurt because Yakult is good for your gut. Uh, you
okay.
know, the lactobacillus is good for your gut, but there is no scientific evidence that oral supplementation of lactobacillus actually increases your vaginal lactobacillus.
Okay. I think that's a great myth that you've just busted.
Mhm.
So my next question to you is about thongs and G-strings. So
Yep.
are these okay, healthy, or do they really irritate or interrupt with the vaginas or the vulvas health? Does it cause more irritation, or is it just okay?
No, it's okay. I think, yeah, it's absolutely fine. It's a personal choice. People can wear, thongs and G-strings, and doesn't matter. It's not really getting into your vagina, so it's fine. But people, even people who use thongs and G-strings always give it a bit of a break. It's a bit of a mix, they wear panties
Mhm.
and sometimes they don't wear anything. So it's all a bit of a mix. I don't think anybody constantly wears only G-strings, like, so there's always a
Okay.
bit of a myth. And if you're wearing someone who wears thongs and G-strings, that's fine. I don't think that has anything to do with your vaginal health.
Okay. So for people who have are allergic to certain kind of underpants, the materials or the fabric in it, is there a tip? Is there any tip that you would like to give them?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Cotton breathable undies it is. Look, I mean, we're not in, in olden days, but honestly, these days the cotton underwears are just absolutely, fantastic. They make really good cotton underwears. So for your daily day-to-day use, I
Mhm.
would definitely recommend you use, breathable cotton underwears, which is very important that you use that. You'll see the difference, especially after that some kind of synthetic is giving you that kind of an allergy or rash or itchy. And so and they're breathable. That's important. Your synthetic undergarments usually don't breathe very well, especially if you're in a humid country like India. It does give you rash. It gives you like pimple like stuff that around that
Right.
area and stuff like that. So definitely cotton underpants. It's a big plus. It's a big, definitely must use kind of situation for me. um Synthetic
Okay.
pretty ones, lingerie, yes, there are occasions when you have to wear it,
Yeah.
and I guess you just have to wear it.
Okay. Great. And what are some good practices for sexual hygiene that any woman should know? Like, if you can just give some of the good practices for sexual hygiene.
Yeah. So definitely wash your vulva when you're having a shower. It's not like, you don't touch it, you don't wash it. Like even female, if you know the women's lips, in between your lips, women also have what's called smegma. It's like a whitish substance.
Right.
So when you separate the lip, you'll see like a whitish substance in between your lips. That's a natural oily substance that's generated from the skin and the sweat glands and the oil
Okay.
glands and everything. So that's
So
not
that has
abnormal.
nothing to do with the vaginal discharge. That's not the
No,
discharge.
that's not the discharge. No. So when you have the lips, when you open the lips,
Yeah.
you'll see sometimes this cheesy, oily,
Yeah. Yeah.
almost white stuff. Yeah. So that's smegma. So yeah, you can wash it off. You can wash it off just by using, your lathered soap, wash it off, dab it nicely, and that's enough. And like I said, if you feel like your hair is too long and you want to, clip it down, tidy it, you can use clippers, go as short as possible, and that's all fine. But if you're someone who wants to wax, yeah, feel free, go for it. I personally wouldn't. But yeah, laser hair removal, that's fantastic as well. So if you want to get rid of it, that's fine. So honestly, washing during shower is the bare minimum you need to do. And I think it's very important to know your vagina. So I mean, if people haven't had a look at it, put a mirror down there, have a look, even to understand what lip is she talking about? What is she saying?
Right.
How does it actually
That's
work?
one activity takeaway from the session, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, definitely have a look at it and see, figure it out. Know yourself really well, and that's very important. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. So that's the bare minimum, is to know yourself well and wash it when you shower, outside only. And
Okay.
that's it. You actually don't need anything special, unfortunately.
That's really, I think, a bad news for the market out there. But
I know it's a bit disappointing, and I think a lot of us, keep saying that. But some people can buy these things and take it when they're traveling because they come in nice small,
yeah,
pouches. Like I said, if it's like a sensitive soap, like your sensitive soap can be your body wash. That's all I'm
yeah,
saying. But let's say, your feminine hygiene comes as a sensitive, smaller pouch, easy to carry during travel, and that's what you want to carry and use it. If you want to use it for your whole body and your vulval area, that's fine. It wouldn't hurt because they have made an effort to make a sensitive, stuff. So that's important. Sorry, you did ask me about, is there anything that we shouldn't use, or should be aware that we shouldn't use in our body? I was going to say a lot of the products do have salicylic acid in them, because salicylic acid it's almost like it's an exfoliant. It removes dead skin off, it lightens your skin, so it's like a lightening thing. So when you use vulval lightening, vaginal area lightening products, those things are all a big no-no. So you definitely don't
okay.
want to use things with salicylic acid or bleaching tendencies or anything there, down there at all. And you did ask something about toys and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So generally toys are fine. It's a trial and error, to be honest. I always tell people, don't invest on too much or too big to start with. I mean, your fingers are great, pillows are
So
great. You can.
people can be allergic to these toys as well. Is that possible?
Well, see, if there's a possibility that anybody can be allergic to anything, we
Okay.
have to keep it in mind. So that's why I tell people, suppose, let's say you're using your fingers and you want to invest in a toy, I wouldn't go and buy something, for 15,000, 16,000 rupees. Go for something
Mhm.
smaller and see if you like it. And if you feel like this is itchy, because what if you're allergic to silicone? And what if you can't use those toys, because most toys are silicone based toys, then you might have to go and find yourself a plastic toy or a glass one, so like that. So before you invest in something big, there is a possibility, right? I mean, it's not common, but yes, it can happen. So just keep your eye out for, things like that. Start off very simple with your toys, fingers, pillows, something small, and then go with bigger things if the small ones are not satisfying you enough. So yeah, always
Okay.
lube, always
Always
lube,
lube.
even with toys. Yeah.
Okay. I think that's a good list of things that we can make note of. And also, so if someone's had, say, as women, we have sex, and then probably our moms have told this to us like the next day or immediately after sex, like you quickly wash it with warm water and salt around, so you prevent infections. Is
No
that
salt.
a myth? Does it work?
Yes, yes. No salt, no salt. No, why? No, no salt. You can, it's true. After you've had sex, it's a good habit to get up and go and pee out. Because in that way you prevent, UTIs from happening. So it is really good. So you can go to the bathroom, pee out, then, you can wash your genital area with water. And yeah, dab it with a towel and come back to bed. And that's that. You don't have to actually, you're not washing anything away. You know,
Right.
okay, so so using salt or anything, nothing, nothing. But it's important to actually, it's a good point. It's important. You can, most of the times, you should actually go and to the bathroom after you finish your sex, because you just urinate and push all the whatever bugs or contamination outside, because especially for those people who get recurrent UTIs, because women have smaller urethra and the urethra is very close to the vaginal opening. So women
Right.
tend to get UTIs more than men do. So
Right.
if that's a good way to actually prevent getting UTIs and recurrent UTIs.
Okay. That's great. So, is there any other tip that you have for the people watching out there before
No,
we
I think
close?
that's it. I'm very sorry to have disappointed the feminine hygiene business, but yeah, you just
So the
use what is
conclusion is it is not an expensive affair. It's not high maintenance. It's really
no,
low
shouldn't be.
maintenance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I mean, like I said, a lot of the feminine hygiene products are making an effort. Let's just say to make, something that is non-scented, good pH balance or whatever, whatever. And if you actually want to use it for your entire body and for your vulval area, that's fine. Doesn't matter. Because I would just treat it as any other vulvals, like any other soap that I use for body wash. For me, I particularly would not tell people, oh my God, are you using this for your body? Don't use that for your vulva. Use something else, because you have to use specific products. No, you don't. Yeah, and that's the
Okay.
truth.
Okay. So apart from that, I think finally, is there any health checks that any woman has to do for the vagina or, like STIs? Is there any other health checks? Like probably women over 30, we have tests, right? So is there anything that you want to tell them?
Well, see, it's like this. So women are about the age of 18. If you're sexually active, you get pap smears every 2 years. And that's very important for your cervical health, not really a vaginal health, but it's important for your cervical health. So I'm going to include that, because that's a fantastic screening tool for cervical cancer. And I think that's very important to do that. All women who are sexually active every 2 years definitely get a pap smear. It's important to actually go and discuss to your doctor about your cervical cancer vaccine before you get sexually active to get the 100% benefit of it. It's a fantastic vaccine. So definitely talk about it. Some countries don't do pap smear, and they have moved to what is called cervical screening test because of the vaccination success. And that cervical screening test is similar to pap smear, but it's done every 5 years and not every 2 years, which is
Okay.
fantastic. So that's very important. For all women, that is very important, and I cannot stress enough how important your pap smears are. Very, very important. The second, like you said, you brought up STIs, and I always tell people sexually active casual partners definitely get STIs checks independent of whether you have symptoms or not. Especially if you're a woman, it's very important because, like discharge is normal for us. And discharge changing before period or after period or in between your cycle is also normal for us. So sometimes women tend to miss when things are abnormal, when they're having gonorrhea or chlamydia, and until it gets really bad. So don't wait for it. So most STIs are asymptomatic. So if you're a sexually active person, please go and get yourself checked for STIs regularly. 6 months, throw a test in. That's very important. If you're in a
Okay.
long-term relationship, but both of you have had other partners in the past, just make sure you have STI test before you both stop using condoms and decide that you're in an exclusive relationship and that's how it's going to continue and things like that. Communicate with your partner as to, if you have partners, do you want to get checked before we go off the condoms? Have you and stuff like that. It's okay, because I think We are in a time and era where we, I think, have to start accepting that we are all sexual beings, and people start having sex, after a particular point after puberty. Because if you're all getting married, let's say 30, 32 these days, after we settle down in our life or career or whatever, and expecting everybody not to have been virgin or not having sex, or making a big scene of it,
Yeah.
is almost like, it's almost like you're in denial, because you hit puberty when you're 12, 13, you're getting married when you're 30. What are you actually expecting in that time span? So I think if you accept it, then you can start having good conversations, healthy relationships, trust based, and you can get tested, and then you can go off your condoms if it's a long-term relationship. So yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. I think you've answered a lot of questions, and let's quickly check if we have any questions
Sure.
from people. Well, I can't find many. Okay,
No, I
great.
can't find any, but if anybody has anything, you can quickly write down before we get out of the screen. Happy to answer. Yeah, I don't think there is much, so that's all right.
If people are having dry vagina are having higher chance of cancer, is it a myth? Do
Yes,
people
that's
with
a
dry
myth.
vaginas have cancer, have
No,
higher chance to get cancer? No,
no.
it's a
People
myth.
with, yeah, if you don't do your pap smears and if you have HPV, you can have cancer.
Okay. And HPVs are something that we get contracted through unprotected sex, right? Just to
That's
clarify.
correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay.
It's a virus, human papilloma virus, or in the common name, we call it as warts. Yeah.
Great. Okay. I think we're done.
Okay.
I think just one more question, I guess. How do you clean your sex toys, silicone based? Do you do it after each use? Use water or
Yes.
wipes?
Perfect. I won't just use wipes and put them in. I usually tend to wash them with warm water and soap. Again,
Okay.
just have the soap lather, warm water, wash the toys. Again, wipe it dry with a clean towel, make sure it's dried out, and then store it in a proper place. It comes usually in a nice, bags, or they come in nice boxes. So make sure you just store them in it. Yes, definitely wash them after every single use. Very important.
Is it true that we have to use a condom even on the toy so that way it prevents infections?
Well, it depends. If you're using toys as a part of partnered sex, and if it's an open relationship, let's just say you're using the toys for you, you're using the toys for your partner, but you're in an open relationship, you're having sex with other people, then yes, there is a risk for transmission of STIs, and then you want to drape a condom. If your toys is sitting in your cupboard and you're the only person using it, then you don't need to drape a condom.
Okay. Okay. Great. All right, then I think we're done. Yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your
Not
time.
at all. Pleasure. Thank you. Thank you so much for
Thank
having me.
you.
It's been fun. Thanks.
Thank you. It was a
No
great
worries.
chat. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.